Did you know Invincible interacted with Spider-Man type characters like Dr. Octopus and pushed him out of the way? Let me not bring up crossover comics. Invincible video. How strong? Let's get it. Viltrumites, a race of super beings that kind of remind me of Kryptonians from DC Comics, but one could say they're a lot more cutthroat compared to the Kryptonians. Because the Viltrumites be on some survival of the fittest type stuff. They're a type of race that fights, weeds out the weaklings. If the weaklings die, then so be it. Let the strong survive on top of the weaklings' ashes type of thing. But the main character known as Mark is kind of different because he's technically a hybrid between human and Viltrumite. He can do all the standard stuff like fly, super strength, blah, blah, blah. He actually works out to get stronger, which is why you're going to see throughout this video he struggles with certain things, beats certain people, struggles to beat certain people, and then ends up surpassing everybody in an extremely short amount of time compared to other Viltrumites. One could say he could increase his power faster because of his genetics of being a hybrid, I guess. Or it could simply be because he's the main character and the main character has to improve faster than everybody else because of the plot. The plot needs it. There's like special workout equipment for beings this strong. Even back, one could say during his weakest days, he can lift 400 tons and work out with it for reps. So he does get stronger as time goes on. And even if he does this off screen, just know that he's doing this type of stuff. Bare minimum can lift over 400 tons with ease, one could say. Even when he was a noob being a superhero with like bootleg suits, he still was a threat and can handle business. It's obvious that he has made drastic improvements because when he fought his dad the first time, he got punched through a literal building and a whole bunch of stuff. Kinda got manhandled pretty badly, and it was pretty one-sided when these two fought like this, but his power progression is so crazy. He ends up getting on the same strength level as his dad, or one can say greater, because when they came up in contact with this mightiest Viltrumite of all time being known as Thrag, the general of all the Viltrumites, he's at the top of the food chain. Notice how Mark on this occasion is punching Thrag. Thrag punches him and still damages him. But notice how Thrag rips everybody apart like butter. But when he punches Mark doesn't look like butter when he gets hit. You see what I'm saying? Thrag still got the advantage. Same with Omni-Man. But Omni-Man seems like he's getting a lot more damage. Like, yeah, you see all this mess? So he does make progress. It's almost like this. It's like Mark started off weaker than Omni-Man, but his increases in power started being a lot greater despite him being a lot younger and ends up surpassing his dad by a lot, despite they both increasing as time goes by. But Mark just did it in a shorter amount of time. Part of that could be just him being the main character. Part of that could be just him being a hybrid, being human and Viltrumite. Not bad for a being that started off the series getting his butt beat by everybody. Despite his dad being over thousands of years old and him having less than hundreds of years of experience, he walked him down in strength and power. I mean, it makes sense for his power to progress. He's fought powerful Viltrumites like Conquest and thunderous battles that cause earthquakes and stuff, messing up buildings in the process. And after all kind of fights like this, it would make sense to improve. But it does seem a little odd how his improvements are so fast, though. It might have something to do with him being a hybrid. We've actually seen him redirect meteors that are really big. Just a quick size reference on how big it was. In this particular occasion with another Viltrumite type character, they had to help lift this cruise ship, working together. Cruise ships, you already know cruise ships can weigh hundreds of thousands of tons. So when you see him holding up large pillars like this, it makes sense. Or saving people by holding up big walls like this. And lifting up vans is a literal joke. All this debris he can lift up. He has plenty of super strength, guys, no matter which era. Even when you see him wearing different outfits, he's still strong. I got a question for you. Who do you think is stronger physically? A robotic-ish type being that killed two alternate reality versions of Invincible, or one could say Mark with his raw power? Or do you think Mark at the end of the series is stronger than such beings like this? This just give you food for thought or references. There's beings that can straight up lift up entire towns, and this entity like right here can fight and grapple with beings like this. Even the weak show version that hasn't got to nowhere near his full potential, Mark has been able to show to slow down meteors. Even this version of him is showing promise, but he has a lot of improvements to do throughout the years to get anything like his comic book self. Yeah, big stuff like that. On top of that, he showed the strength to literally just toss it with his strength that deep. If the TV show version of Mark is going to be anything like the comic book version, we know he's going to surpass Omni-Man. This is impressive because even TV show alternate reality version of Omni-Man, which is almost basically a retelling of the comic book one, has stated that he diverted a meteor that was the size of freaking Texas. That would be like saying Mark or Invincible tier Viltrumite type characters can carry the entirety of Texas on his back if he had to. He has that kind of power despite Texas being massive. If Omni-Man isn't just talking out the side of his neck, which I doubt because they can destroy planets, so holding Texas shouldn't be no issue, right? With all this strength, it makes sense that he can punch or strike, whether with his fist or using his speed to increase his mass. Certain people he can one punch and knock them out with his power. Big rock monsters that are the size of houses, he can help mess up no matter how you see it. Strong robots he can punch through. Cars ramming into him, he can just stop it on the spot. Him slamming other beings in collateral vehicles, fly in the air by accident with his raw power output, uses his speed to literally fly through a spaceship, and then says, let me lift it, and toss it because he's strong like that. Size clearly doesn't matter. Look at the size difference. He can still damage beings that are massive. To put his punching power to the true test, how about the fact he can damage alternate reality versions of himself with punches? Spaceships, y'all get blitzed. When big stuff like this punches him, look at his hand grip on the crap. Still has the power to damage such big things. Another alternate him go night night. His punching power is clearly devastating. A being that's pretty busted and will solo your favorites. He's a being that drains entire planets of energy to power himself up. Beings like Dinosaurus can do this to Omnipotus with his raw power. A being that states he has unlimited power or whatever, and states he's the shaper, he's the world shaper, behold the end of all things, he says. Yeah, all these powerful characters having issues with a character like this, showing his power, stating he has the ability to reshape worlds in his own image and can rewrite reality on a whim. He feeds off the energy of your universe, stated again to be the world shaper. He will drain this world of its life force. And he's proven to be pretty strong fighting all these powerful beings at the same time. He's one of those characters where his power could vary, so it's hard to get a concrete power level of what this guy is. We just know he's a destroyer of worlds by absorbing the life force, because it literally states the more energy Omnipotus absorbs, the greater his physical and psionic powers become, which in turn increases his ability to destroy matter. The destructive and absorptive potential of the so-called shaper of worlds is theoretically infinite. He claims to have completely obliterated his native universe. No telling how long that took though, but did he do it in a day or did he do it in a second? You know, that type of context is needed for us to really understand how strong this being is. But you can kind of get an idea of how powerful this guy is, just a little bit. But Dinosaurus, this dinosaur-looking being, can severely damage beings this powerful. You guys knew this was coming. Mark Grayson, Invincible, punches him back to his normal old form after a couple of blows. It also shows Mark's durability, because Dinosaurus broke his teeth on Invincible's arm. Just to give an idea of these beings that Mark be fighting, are no pushovers. Even strong beings like Immortal, what are you doing? You get murked by Mark. Even though beings like Immortal are nowhere near the level of Omni-Man, the fact that his punches still can draw blood from Omni-Man, that's still impressive. Even though Omni-Man's obviously way above him. And the same thing Omni-Man did to him, Mark can do to him too. Superhuman beings like Titan, for example, he backhands and they try to get bucked with him, and Mark stops his punt. Monsters that try to use their fangs on him, he will use your own fangs against you and kill you with your own fangs. You know he's a high-tier Viltrumite when he can fight like legions of Viltrumites at the same time. Like Thrag's kids, for example. I actually kind of feel bad for them. They're getting treated like paste, even though we know they're durable as heck. And we're talking about a guy, just because you're big, after he defeats monsters, he will sling them all the way deep in space, all the way past the moon. We already know he boxes it out with Viltrumites on the daily in his universe. Heck, even his own dad, or this being known as Alan the Alien, he can strike him so hard that he creates big bullcrap type of explosions on the moon like that. Him holding back is enough to break your jaw by accident. Just don't let him stick you. He has the speed and strength to slam his hand together to make a shockwave like thunderclap. It's something a lot of powerhouses do. In Marvel and DC, of course. Invincible said, let me borrow that thunderclap. He's completely bulletproof. The Viltrumite lower tier kids of Thrag try to hurt him and hurt themselves, trying to hurt Invincible, busting their own brains and crap. Energy blast that can destroy cities. His body can stand up to bullcrap like this. Just for those wondering he was trolling, he wasn't really knocked out. Says he's fine. Stuff that blows up houses, it doesn't even hurt him at all. Same with lava. Explosions that mess up the entirety of Las Vegas, it seems. All it does is just mess up his clothes. Nuclear explosions, he's right in the face of, and he eats that crap and flies off. Not only can he withstand it, but his hands can withstand stuff too, and he can contain it in his hands if he needs to. This one being had an earthquake-making device. That's why they call him Dr. Seismic. These blasts, Mark can easily withstand thanks to his durability. Yeah, Mark, along with other Viltrumites, work together to destroy an entire planet by flying straight through it, showing they can use their flight speed, raw durability, and everything to drill through it and blow it all the way up with their raw power. This would mean that a Mark that's less than 50 years old punch planets apart if he wished. And thanks to this busted being known as Thrag, Mark got messed up. And thanks to being messed up, Adam Eve, thanks to her molecular manipulation type stuff, she healed him. And guess what? He's also stronger. Yep, you guessed it. Stronger than ever before, yet another power-up. So yeah, he had plenty of power-ups. And this was the one power-up that gave him enough power to actually fight Thrag one-on-one. He eventually was able to battle Thrag on even ground, just to show how far he's come. And to make matters worse, the fact that he's still able to fight Thrag like this is still technically not the strongest we've seen him in this series. Because right here, he's still less than 50 years old. So if a young Mark that's not even 50 years old ends up being on Thrag's level of power, how strong is a Mark, or one could say Invincible, when he's actually older and has wrinkles, knowing that he's a Viltrumite and it takes a longer time for him to age? The fact that he has wrinkles, how strong is he like this? That's straight hypothetical. We don't really know how much he's improved over this time, but just the fact that he got so strong only in 20 or 40 or 50 years to be able to surpass his own dad, his dad that's thousands of years old. How strong is this guy at 100 years old? How strong is he at 200 years old? A lot of people interpret this scan as this right here is him at 500 years old, but I don't think he's 500 years old, or else his kids will look a lot older and stuff. You know what I mean? But right here is definitely probably at least 80 years in the future. I would look at the grid like this. Right here, he's weaker than Omni-Man, literally walks him down and becomes stronger than Omni-Man, even probably stronger than Thrag, the mightiest Viltrumite at this point. And this is even later in the timeline, 100-year-old Mark in the timeline. No telling how strong he's gotten like this. We've only seen occasions like this on how this sword breaks on his body, so you know he's still ridiculously strong. He talks about how he could have easily conquered the universe with ease and enslaved everybody, but he doesn't because of his morals. Think for a second. If this version of him can destroy planets and survive planetary explosions, along with other Viltrumites helping destroy the planet, even if you try to say this took help from other Viltrumites, this is a 20 or 30-year-old Mark, guys. This Mark is over 100 years old. He definitely can do it at the rate of which his power was increasing. There's heavy implications that he's probably way past planet shutting levels at this level, especially older, but that's none of my business. I already brought up earlier in this video how he surpassed Omni-Man, but when it comes to raw speed, I think we all can agree that he's also faster than Omni-Man. This is impressive because we know for a fact Omni-Man has flown light years in just 7 days, or one could say a week, because he flew to Earth from this galaxy. He flew 65 million light years in 7 days. That means Mark can fly over millions and billions of times faster than the speed of light. And he can do things with super speed, like changing really fast. So it kind of shows that he can change into clothes extremely fast. One could say he can use his raw flight speed in combat to add more damage to his blows, like in this occasion with Dinosaurus, messing up cars and making them fly. And when it comes to light speed stuff, that's not nothing new for the Invincible universe. When it comes to characters that are in the same universe that he has to fight and compete against regularly, like Alan the Alien, he's a being capable of traveling at near light speeds if he wishes. So light speed isn't nothing new in this universe. But at the end of the day, all of this could be just me. How strong do you think Mark is? Do you think he could effortlessly bust a planet, especially after his fight with Thrag, even hundreds of years in the future possibly? I definitely think he can bust planets, especially when you look at the beings like Omnipotence they had to compete against, and how beings that are way weaker than him could damage Omnipotence but couldn't really damage Mark, even when he was younger and not in his older 100-year-old stealth state. That's something you got to consider, but at the end of the day, that could be just me. What do you guys think his potential is? How strong do you think he is when he's over 100 years old? How fast do you think he is? Do you think he can use his flight speed in combat? Let me know in the comments below, but before I get going, I gotta quickly say, thanks for the donations, everybody. It helps out a lot. Respect Invincible. Mark Grayson. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.